When Tunisian TV aired a movie called Persepolis, they did not expect much trouble. It had already been shown all over the world. The movie's about a young girl coming of age in Iran during the Islamic Revolution, and she outsmarts the social guardians and then discovers punk and ABBA and Iron Maiden. And as she gets older, her boldness makes her parents worry, so they send her to school in Austria, where basically she faces the competing drives of love of country, Iran, and desire for personal freedom.
Europe is waiting.
You lived through a revolution and a war?
Well, yeah.
Wow.
So it's true what people say. Iranians have no manners whatsoever.
She told him she was French. No.
Well, as you can hear, sort of tricky themes, and it was controversial in places like Iran and Lebanon, but it was shown. And then in Tunisia, it provoked a very strong reaction. Within a couple of days of the broadcast, Islamic militants attacked the TV station's offices and the home of the manager of the TV station that broadcast it, saying it was blasphemous, and he's now going on trial. So what was the blasphemy that the TV station's accused of? Well, Nabila Ramdani is a journalist specialising in Anglo-French issues and Islamic affairs.
Well, the main character, Margie, is clearly a rebellious character, and she rebels against God in general terms, it has to be said. She has dreams of being a prophet, but she feels she's been let down by God, and not just her Muslim God. You mentioned the fact that she was sent to Austria. She actually lived with nuns in a convent, and she abuses a nun in the convent as well, and she gets kicked out of the convent for that reason. So her anger is towards a generic God rather than a Muslim God per se.
Right, it says tricky stuff, but the fact is it was shown in Iran, right? And it was shown in Lebanon. I know there were people saying it shouldn't be, but it was.
Yes, indeed, and I think that's why there is no doubt that this is a very important test case, not just for Tunisia, but for the entire Middle East and North Africa region, which was, remember, at the centre of the Arab Spring revolutions. And for those supporting the TV producer, the case symbolises the fight for freedom, freedom of expression, freedom of creation, but which was one of the key demands of the Arab Spring. And the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia was, of course, the first successful one, and that's why they see it as being so important for the court to arbitrate in their favour.
Yeah, just to explain that, the TV manager whose home was attacked is now on trial, and so it's gone into a legal process. Now, the government in Tunisia is meant to be, the famously moderate Islamist government. What attitude are they taking to this quite tricky case for them?
Well, interestingly, the moderate party of Ennahda, which is at a majority in the Tunisian parliament, is allowed the screening of the film. It doesn't have any problem with it. The problem lies with a fringe of more radical Muslims, the Salafists, who do not see blasphemy as anything to do with freedom of speech. And as we saw with the cartoons of the Prophet, the burning of the Qurans and the like, Islamic societies are by definition both religious and conservative, and dare I say this has been reflected by the kind of parties which are being elected in Arab countries post-revolutions, including in Tunisia.
Yeah, but Ennahda did this sort of Islamist, but in Western parlance, moderate Islamist party. So are they now in conflict with the Salafis over this? Yes,
absolutely. And that's why, the court will certainly be bearing, this difficult equilibrium between free speech and freedom of creation, but also dealing with the cultural sensitivities and the religious sensitivities of Muslim majority countries.
I was actually in Tunisia covering some of this sort of thing not so long ago, and it struck me the Salafist movement there was really very small. I mean, compared to some other places, it didn't seem a very numerous group. Is that your impression?
Yes, very much so. It's very much of a fringe movement, but as we know, it's always, a minority of radicals which manage to create, a lot of trouble most of the time.
So do you think this point of view, which is rejecting the film and is, raising the hue and cry about it, is going to be rejected by mainstream Tunisian society?
No, I think mainstream Tunisian society is broadly speaking in favour of all liberties, and they certainly do not want to regress now that they got rid of a dictator. But certainly this issue raises the wider question of the place of art and creation in Muslim majority countries, because we have seen in other more conservative countries, like in the Gulf countries, where you can't display all kinds of arts, and anti-Islamic slogans in the context of arts exhibitions have actually been banned.
Nabila Ramdani.